next up is the Emotional Oracle team. Guys here? Yep. Awesome. And then after them is, let's see, Autistic Pet, Chris, and team. Oh, and if you're going to do a demo using an iPhone, we have AirPlay over here, so just be prepared to connect to that. Sweet. Okay, just 1 second. I got it. Okay, thank you. All right, so many of you are probably familiar with games. As I've talked with a lot of people over these last 2 days, I found out that maybe not as familiar as I thought. I make games for a living, and so I use a lot of shorthand, like I'll say titles of games, and I was really amazed when people didn't know all of the games that I knew, but a lot of the kids actually knew all of the games that I knew and more. Games are very powerful tools. They're very powerful learning tools. In fact, what most people don't realize about games is that all games are educational. They present you with a system, and you learn about that system, you become an expert in that system, and you learn how to manipulate it. They present systems that ultimately are driving you, the player, towards achieving different challenges. So while they are very compelling devices for entertainment and education, what we find is that what are known as edutainment titles tend not to be as compelling. And part of the problem is that there is some difficulty in understanding those conflicting goals between educating and entertaining. And what I wanted to do with our Emotional Oracle is present a platform for game developers to begin imbuing their agents with more emotional responsiveness so that they behave more like people. If you look at most video games, you interact with them in the way that is not atypical for someone on the spectrum to interact. You're goal-driven, you go to an agent, you interact with it, you say, give me something that I want, and the agent usually responds by giving you something that you want. So what we did was we created a system where you can actually interact with these agents, and they won't just give you what you want. They'll actually ask you for different things like being nice. Just 1 second. I need to make a change. So we put all of the data up on the web here. And this is handy because we're missing an interface. So I'm going to put my name in and update this. Okay. So now when I come here, I have several different options that I can use when I'm interacting with this agent. This agent is not just a static person. This is a character that actually has one parameter known as friendliness, and it's basically this agent's familiarity with me. So there are several things that I can say. If I were playing a typical game, I might say, give me something. But he doesn't want to talk. So the Oracle part is actually not being rendered right now, and that is where the game will give you a clue as to why he did not interact with you. So now I interact and I say, yes, hello, my name is Isaac. He asked me if I would like to do a favor, and I can say, no, I don't want to do a favor, and he becomes unhappy and will not interact with me further. What this platform allows us to do then is create game content where the game creator can have agents that present goals, drive players to those goals, but do so in a way that that makes it easier for the game developers to be focusing on the fun parts of the game, not on the agent interaction parts. And what we want to do is open source these libraries. We want to create an API that allows people to use these agents. They'll be web enabled so that we can have metrics and monitoring. And then, so now I will go and see. Pardon me. And if I introduce myself, and I leave, and I return. Now, because I've interacted and introduced myself properly, that, no, I'm having a bug here. Evan? Evan Coleman.
What do you want me to fix that?
What did I do wrong? Go ahead. Okay, I'll ask her. I'm gonna say goodbye.
So since we're almost out of time, it might
Yeah.
make sense to use the remaining time for Q&A.
Okay,
Do that?
you certainly can. Yes, Q&A. Yes,
It's intended as a web-based platform, correct?
correct. Yeah, so right now, one of the hottest areas of game development is actually web-based games. So I come from HTML5 development. There's a lot of things that are happening out there, but the costs really drive people to cut a lot of corners when they're creating their content. And creating characters is something that is actually quite expensive, and scripting those characters and giving them behaviors. And so if we open source this, yes, it makes it cheaper.
I was kind of lost through part of that. I mean,
Okay.
it looks like what you're doing is, let's get the person to understand what they're doing has impact. I got that.
Yep.
What I really didn't get is, like, what are they trying to accomplish? What's the risk reward? And I realized you had
Yes.
2 days, so I'm just asking the question.
Oh, absolutely. So with a game, if you think about the presentation of a challenge and a presentation of a progression system, what we're not modeling here is an interesting challenge, nor are we modeling an interesting progression system. Those are the things that game developers themselves will do. What we did was we created a very simple password task where what you do is you talk to an agent, that you develop some familiarity with that agent, then you go over and you ask another agent for a very simple request. And in order to do that, you have to follow a certain social protocol. And then the game basically allows you to try over and over again until you find the correct pattern of social interaction. And then when you create multiple agents using the same system, they all follow generally the same rules, where you learn that you need to properly introduce yourself, you need to welcome them, and you need to identify them as another human. And what it does is begin to introduce consideration for theory of mind with the other agents. What we are missing right now is that when you make a mistake, we do have a script for the emotional oracle that then tells you what components you're missing. So in the case of familiarity, they will let you know that you've not been introduced, you're a stranger, and so you're able to interact again, improve your performance, and do that over all of the agents that are in the world. Right now we have just 2.
All right, thank you guys.